Weekly entertainment. We got a guest in the studio here. It's Arvell Jones. We're going to talk about comic books and we're going to talk about superheroes and supervillains. Your weekly entertainment and how to break into the biz, maybe, and what it takes to be a fantastic local comic book artist. Yeah. Well, I'm Crazy Mark right here, and you know what? Rudy couldn't make it. We're not having a 3-minute monologue, so we're going to jump right into this interview. Welcome to Weekly Entertainment, Arvell Jones. He got the zapper on his hand. No, must have learned that from a supervillain.
Hey.
So, is it true you have been a DC and Marvel Comics super spectacular comic book artist?
Super spectacular? Yes.
He's very modest with that, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Sit right back, okay, all you aspiring artists watching right now, and you're going to learn how to break into the business, maybe. So, Arvell, let's start way back when. Let's turn the clock back.
Okay.
You want to become a comic book artist, but who inspired you to become a comic book artist?
Jack King Kirby. You know, my first the way I fell in love with comics was looking at Captain America, the Avengers, Iron Man, the Fantastic Four.
Dude, you're talking my language here. I'm going to have to pull up a seat here. It might look kind of crazy. I'm doing this here so I can have a seat here, really get down to the nitty-gritty on comic books here. Dude, you know, I wanted to draw comic books too a long time ago. Being I'm a million gazillion years old, but when I was a kid, my big inspiration was Herb Trimpe, that Incredible Hulk guy.
Yeah, Herb's a good guy. You know, I met him up at Marvel when I first started working there. He's, you know, he'd come in with dark circles under his eyes, where he'd been up all night working on that stuff, and he was really fast and turned in a lot of books.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, the first one was 166, The Incredible Hulk versus the Electric Monster Zax. That was awesome, dude. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, another comic book that I kind of tuned into, aside from The Incredible Hulk, and I heard you drew this guy, Superman. Is that true?
I got a little Superman in me. You know, I actually got to kill him in a book called The Secret Society of Supervillains Special.
Where can people find this one?
Oh, it was published back in '77. It was a companion book to the Justice League at the time, and you can probably find it at your comic book stores, or order it online.
Okay, that's way excellent there, you know. So you got into this business here, but okay, going back again once in time, you're inspired by Jack Kirby. How did you start into the business drawing comic books?
Well, I was in art school, so I went to Cass Tech in Detroit, and that kind of really got me into the art portion of it. I was in the commercial art department.
Very good.
And from there, I used to go to comic book conventions where I met other, aspiring artists, and we sort of would get together on Saturdays and critique each other's work.
Man, it sounds like study hall or something back when I was in high school. It's like, hey, what are you drawing? I'm drawing monsters. What are you drawing? Some girl drawing pretty little flowers and horses. You go, oh, we're drawing Star Wars. That was the big thing back then. But you're drawing all this artwork, you're getting together with friends. When did you make this big break? I heard you had to travel between Detroit and New York City an awful lot. What's going on there?
Well, what happened was we used to get together and we'd go to these conventions and we'd ask the pros, how you get into the business?
Yeah.
And, they would tell us, well, you got to come to New York. At the time, you had to come to New York. There were no FedExes and no overnight, so you had to hit the deadlines. So everything was happening there. So we would go up there to work. Yeah.
So okay, you're heading out of Detroit.
Right.
You're going to NYC. I mean, where were you all getting? You and a bunch of other artists getting a loft or something? The ideal from thing or what?
Well, one of our artists, one of the guys that was in our group, Rich Buckler, went up there for a summer and stayed and got his own apartment. So whenever he needed some help, he'd call us up. We'd jump in a car and drive from Detroit to New York overnight and then work all weekend for him and then come back and go to school or go back to work. And
wow, that's awesome. You're out there, you're moving and grooving with the groove thing there, trying to get the comic book art going on. But there's one story we were talking earlier about, going to New York, and he had a bunch of friends, and he spent all these hours and nights drawing comic books and characters. But there was one drawing someone just spent a few minutes on. Well, tell us about that story.
Oh, that was, after we felt like we were getting good enough.
Yeah.
We secured an appointment with John Romita Sr., who at that time was the art director at Marvel. He had just come off of doing Daredevil and Spider-Man.
Man, I've seen all his name in all these different, like the Incredible Hulk again and stuff like that.
He used to be the cover artist, and he was just doing a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And he invited us up. We worked like for 2-3 days, putting which samples we were going to put together. We went up there. And Keith Pollard, the night before, he was one of my partners, and one of the guys that, he had done a little sketch of his concept of the Falcon, from Captain America, and he laid it on top of all the other pages. And when we went in there, John Romita said, all right, let's look at these pages. And he said, oh, that's just a sketch Keith was doing. He said, no, let's start with that. And we only had 15 minutes. And he spent the entire 15 minutes on that one drawing, even though we had like a whole comic book underneath it.
Wow. That's sweet, dude. Yeah. But the thing is, that's like artistic irony. You can spend hours and hours and days and weeks on something, and then you just kind of like throw something in there. And, that's the greatest thing in the world,
Except it wasn't. And he just ripped us a new one that night.
But he seemed to like it, but he liked that one, though.
Well, he had a lot to say about it. And then he ran out of time, and people were telling him, hey, you got to go on to the next appointment. And he said, sorry, fellas. And we said, but John, we got other pages. Can you just look at some of the other stuff? We think we got what it takes. And you just looked at a 15-minute sketch. And he said, sorry, fellas. Make another appointment. I'll look at the rest of the stuff then.
So in other words, this art lifestyle for comic books in New York City is just kind of like that J. Jonah Jameson guy. Come on, show and tell, that kind of thing, right?
It was just like Jonah Jameson. You come in there and you were a freelancer. In fact, I think J. Jonah Jameson was based on Stan Lee.
Oh, man.
And, you were getting paid these low rates. And, the first assignment I got, I looked at my check, and I went in there, and I felt like Peter Parker. I said, man, I've been working for 2 weeks, and this is all I got for it?
50, 45, 45, oh, cut him a check. Freelance, that's what a young man like you needs.
Right.
No, but so you're telling all these artists out here, it's a tough business to break into, drink lots of coffee, work long hours, and maybe, just maybe, you might get something.
Well, I think it's more scientific than that these days. Back then, it was sort of a trial and error thing. But there's so many books out there. There's so many different ways to gather information. There's conventions to go to. You can publish your own books. You can do whatever you want to do. It just depends on, and your talent, of course, is the start of it. But for the most part, you've got to, really study your craft.
Yeah. I mean, and you were starting when you were a little kid making pictures for Mom's refrigerator, of course.
Right.
But then you graduated into great perspective and detail. Right. Before we get any further, what website can people go to check you out?
Well, there's comic art, comicbookart.com, and I think there's a dash in there, so it's comicbook-art.com, and then there's the comicbookworkshop.com, and either one of those has samples of my work.
That's great. That's fantastic. And remember, I think it's also arvelljones.com as well.
Yeah, you can go arvelljones.com and you can Google me. There's a lot of my pages up online.
He's also on Wikipedia. The guy's well known. He's all over the place. We're going to be breaking for a music video by Sunday Morning Tragedy here in a minute. But before we go into that, tell me, you do a lot of work with pen, pencil, Bristol, that kind of thing, paper or cardstock. What was your first experience with a computer? How'd you make the jump?
Oh, the computer happened when I was working as a freelancer and then a staff artist for a local television station. And, I used to draw serial killers.
Oh!
I'd go to the court and do that. So,
That's how you say serial killer? Oh.
Yeah. So.
Whoa. So you were drawing serial killers and stuff
Right.
in court.
And I would hang around in the art department, and when they got a computer in, I said, "Ooh, can I get on that?" And they were all kind of afraid of it back then, so they let me get in.
Before you go to music video, did any of those serial killers follow you home?
No, I think they all are still in prison.
Sunday Morning Tragedy right here on Weekly Entertainment. Stick around on Weekly Entertainment. Weekly Entertainment.
Standing in the doorway, see myself in my bed, jumping into my body, regaining consciousness again. Australity in my dreams, Australity in me free, Australians in a classroom, dimensions connected me with you. Floating in the abyss, filled a heart of emptiness. I don't know where I'm going. All I know is I've been there before. Australity in my dreams, Australity set me free. Dimensions in a classroom separated me from you. Why got why? I got why? Why got why? Why got
Oh, yeah. You're watching Weekly Entertainment. Yeah, wait, there you are. You're back with us here. Oh, we're here with Arvell Jones. Holy cow. What am I doing dancing around? Because we have an awesome artist here. He's drawn Shazam. This is a picture of Shazam right here. Yeah. See, I think we have a picture of Shazam out there somewhere. Shazam at one time was more popular than Superman. Yeah, there it is. There's a picture of Shazam right there. Yeah, I wish I were like Shazam, but I'm going to have to get to the gym to take care of that for another 5 or 6 years. So, Arvell, you have this thing, about the rich history of Detroit comic book artists. Please elaborate on this.
Well, in the 70s, Detroit pretty much invaded Marvel and DC Comics.
Invaded. Okay.
Yeah, we all would get together before we started in the comic book business, and would have Saturday meetings and critique each other's work.
Okay.
Yeah, some of those people would be Rich Buckler, the creator of Deathlock, who's usually on Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Jim Starlin, the creator of Thanos, and part of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Whoa, Guardians of the Galaxy, my favorite movie all summer, Did you see that movie?
Yeah, I did. Jim created Drax the Destroyer.
Wow.
In Detroit years before going to Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such deep Detroit art history. And by the way, we're going to give a shout out to Martin Hershak out there. Hey, Marty, hope everything's going good. And remember, Fantasticon's on the way. It's going to be April 11th. We're going to have Icon, that's March 14th over there in Warren. We got a lot of other Comic-Cons on the way.
You got the Great Lakes.
Great Lakes, that's February when, 27th?
Yeah, 27, 28. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
There you go. You'll be there. Arvell will be there. You can see the artiste in the flesh right here with his artwork. And by the way, All-Star Squadron, that was your biggest run. Tell us about it.
Well, Roy Thomas had called me up when he was the editor-in-chief at Marvel at the time, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to move to DC. I need some samples of some of the work I want to do." So I did some samples for him. He took it over to DC.
Yeah.
Of course, he got the job. And then when he got to about issue 37, he thought about me again and said, "Hey, you still want to do some All-Star Squadron with me?" And I said, "Sure." And he brought me in. He said, "I never forgot you." Me and the wife, we were getting married, and so we spent our honeymoon in Los Angeles, and Roy took us all around.
Okay.
By the end of the night, he had sealed the deal and said, "Hey, you want this book? You can have it."
Sweet. Now, I understand that DC actually put people on a salary at the time. Because Marvel was freelancing and DC was salary or hourly, one of those kind of things.
They were both freelancing, but what DC would do more than Marvel is they would put people on a performance contract.
Okay.
And that was sort of like a salary where you'd get paid a regular, but you still had to keep the work up, because by the end of the year, if you hadn't done all your page quotas, then you would owe DC money.
Oh, it sounds like a record contract. I'll tell you what, we made a music video for you, and we spent all these millions on all this publicity.
Yeah.
But you got to produce several great albums or cartoon characters. Or do you have any All-Star Squadron with you there?
Yeah. I got a couple of issues, but here's one of them.
Check it out. Let me see if we can get this over to the camera over here. Move it over to the other camera. One. Yeah. There we go. There it is. Yeah, there we go. We can see it. That's All-Star Squadron right there. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, that was a great comic to do.
Here you go.
Okay.
That's gold.
Yeah, I got to do all of the 1940s versions and some of the 1940 characters that my parents grew up with and that I kind of learned about because I became a comic fan. So it was a fun project.
Man, so that was a big run. Now you kind of left there, and we'll talk about the TV business another time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how Crazy Mark went up north looking for Sasquatch and disappeared for a couple of years. I went looking for Bigfoot and couldn't find him. Anyway, and then I'm back. But anyway, speaking of Bigfoot, you ever seen a Bigfoot?
Never saw one.
No Sasquatch?
No Sasquatch.
Oh, okay. Well, back to the artwork then. You're going to be holding workshops coming up. Please tell us about it.
Well, we usually, myself and Keith Pollard and Bill Nesner-Lobes put together a workshop that we do for people that want to get into the comic industry.
Cool.
And, we show them from the top up how to do storytelling. If they're writers, Bill walks them through how to write. He used to write for the Flash and Wonder Woman.
Oh, Wonder Woman. Which guy out there didn't want to go out with Wonder Woman when they were a kid? Oh, I want to go. Ooh. But there was only one Wonder Woman, and that was Linda Carter. Oh, yeah. Ooh. So who do you think do you think Gidge is going to make a great new Wonder Woman or what?
I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm the jury's out for me, but she's a great looking woman. I'm sure she could do a good job.
Okay, yeah. We'll come back to your workshop here. We're going to go off on a tangent here. Okay. What do you think of the new Fantastic Four that's going to be coming out here soon?
Well, I haven't seen the trailer, but everybody I've heard from has mixed feelings about it. Although I think it's a great idea if they, going to go off, the beaten path a little bit and create something new. This is a creative industry.
But of course, you've drawn the Fantastic Four also too, right?
Actually, I did get a chance to draw the Fantastic Four, and a what if story was, what if the Thing continued to mutate? And it was a crazy story. It had Captain America in it and the Fantastic Four hunting after the Thing, which is one of the members of the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm.
Yeah, now it was the Hulk, then it was the Thing. I love those two characters because they were always such misunderstood characters. Yet they were the toughest dudes around, or things around. So then, let me ask you then. Okay, back to your workshop. Where can people get in touch with you about these workshops coming up?
Well, the workshops, you can go to the website, the comicartworkshop.com.
Comic Art Workshop.
Yeah, Comic Art Workshop.
Comicartworkshop.com.
Right. And the information will be up there. We usually hold them in Detroit. We hold them in Troy. We've held them in Southfield.
Okay.
And, you can, if you got an interest in it, go up there, you fill out the form, and we create a waiting list to see who's all, where it should be held, and then we work out the location.
Very good.
From there, yeah.
Most excellent. Now, okay, so we're going to go back in time once again. You finally got your gig going on up in NYC. You're going back and forth between Detroit. Now, you also went out to L.A.?
Yeah, I went out to L.A. a few times, but, I spent most of the time, in the Detroit area. After I went to New York for a while and I got to be good enough that everybody felt like they didn't have to worry about me, they let me come back to the Detroit area. I went out to L.A. to maybe look at the movie industry and get involved in that, doing storyboard work. And there's a lot of stuff that you can get involved in when you're a comic book artist. Comic book artists, for the most part, can draw anything.
Yeah. And, of course, serial killers. Ooh.
Yeah, and they're nothing. Serial killers are nothing compared to supervillains.
Oh, yeah, they destroy the world with one thought.
Yeah.
But anyway, thinking back to all your travels and all of your adventures, what's the craziest adventure you've ever had in comic book art?
That would probably be the first time I completed my first comic book, and Stan Lee came out of his office to congratulate me.
Ooh, he actually came out of the office?
He came, well, I think they had it set up because I'd walked in and everybody would say, "Hey, Arvell, how you doing?" I said, "Why is everybody saying hello to me today?" And because I'm usually wasn't that popular, and I was like the low guy on the totem pole. Yeah. This is my first book. It hadn't even been published yet. And then they had a thing called a Make Ready, which was the comic book before it got the covers put on, just a proof for Stan to take a look at. And then as I got all the way down the hall, I heard somebody behind me saying, "Who did this comic book?"
Uh-oh. And what
happened? I looked
happened?
around and it was Stan, and Stan was shaking it like J. Jonah Jameson, and he walked up to me and he said, "Did you do this? Did you do this?" I was so scared, my heart was beating all hard. And I said, "Yes, I did." And he says, "Congratulations, this is great, have a no prize," and enough said, he just.
You're hearing it here with Arvell Jones. Check out now a music video by Ann Harberth. Blame it on the medication, yeah.
Went and saw my dad just the other day. I was feeling bad. Here's what he had to say: "Take these pills and soon you will be feeling fine. But the side effects, I almost lost my mind. Blame it on the medication, made my head feel light. Blame it on the medication, then I lost my sight. With accelerated heartbeat, swollen feet, and nothing stayed down when I had to eat. Blame it on the medication, it made me sick.
Did you move too fast?
No, it's the medication.
Something that you ate.
No, it's the medication.
Break out with a rash.
Yeah, the medication. Bad side effects. So I called my doc, said I'm off the pills. All the pills you gave are worse than the ills. The meds that I got did not make me well. My hair fell out and I lost my sense of smell. Blame it on the medication, then my hands turned blue. Blame it on the medication, Doc, I'm telling you. Dreams so wild that I cannot sleep. All the drugs you gave to give me the creeps. Blame it on the medication, it made me sick.
Did you move too fast?
No, it's the medication.
Eight.
No, it's the medication.
Break out with a rash.
Yeah, the medication. Bad side effects. La 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 la. La 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 la. Bad side effects.
Entertainment, you're digging it right now. Weekly entertainment, you can't touch this, baby. Out there in TV land and webcast land, we're with Arvell Jones. And you know what? We gotta ask him, tell us about your compadre in art eval, Keith Pollard.
Oh yeah, Keith, me and him got into the business together. When we first went to Marvel and the art director looked at our work, he said, you can draw very well, Keith, and Arvell, you know how to tell an exciting story. If I put you guys together, we got a comic artist. And so we kind of learned from each other off of that. And Keith became the creator of the Black Cat for Spider-Man.
The Black Cat for wow, working on he was working on Spider-Man.
He was working on Spider-Man. In fact,
dude, man, the franchise.
Right. Yeah, he was the franchise artist back then. He was doing the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man at the same time. I was doing Iron Man and Iron Fist.
Oh, wait a minute.
I was the Iron
Man? You did Iron... Wait a minute. Folks, check this out. Arvell Jones, he worked on Iron Man. See, Iron Man's been so super popular as of late, you know, like the last Avengers movie, they should have just called it the Iron Man 4 movie or something like that, because it's all Iron Man, maybe a little bit of Hulk,
Yeah.
But we got Comic-Cons coming up. You're going to be at Great Lakes Crossing Comic-Con.
It's the Great
Lakes Expo, Comic Expo.
Well, actually, I think this one's called the Great Lakes Comic-Con. And that's at the Macomb Community College.
Come on now.
And I'm going to be at the Fantastic Con. This is going to be in Toledo.
Yes.
And
that's going to be huge.
Yeah, that should be a really good show.
I'm going to be there too, dude.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be good working alongside you there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out doing my crazy Mark thing. You're going to be drawing and showing off your fantastic artwork and everything.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to Indiana also?
Yeah, I'm going to the Indiana Con. That's a little later on in the year, and then I'm going to do the Motor City Comic Con like I did last year. So I want everybody to kind of come out and say hello to me, and I'm selling prints and sketches. I'm doing custom sketches for folks. So,
awesome. And I got to remind everybody here, arvelljones.com. You got to go check out his stuff. And it looks like it's that time again. We're going to have to say goodbye to all you out there. I'm Crazy Mark with Arvell Jones, weeklyentertainment.org. You want to check it out online, on the internet. We'll see you later for Weekly Entertainment. Weekly Entertainment with Arvell Jones, Crazy Mark on Weekly Entertainment. Weekly Entertainment. Talking about cartoon art, comic book art. Yeah, Shazam! And it's Superman!